Hey guys, hello and welcome to today's session, which is basically a continuation of the previous one we've been discussing on about foundations of computing. So today we'll be talking about networking fundamentals, and remember everything we've been discussing has been foundational, has been fundamentals. So networking is a very, very integral part of cybersecurity, and it's a big domain on its own. So many of us will be majoring or be going deeper in areas of cybersecurity that require a lot of networking. So at this particular time, we are just brushing the fundamentals so we know what is and how what works. And consequently, what's the word? Subsequently, yeah. We'll be doing a lot of networking. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a session dedicated to networking. Then we'll talk a lot about networking. But for now, what networking is what we're trying to understand. So networking is basically the interconnection of computers or computing devices for the purpose of exchange of data or information, basically for communication. So when you sit here and you make a phone call, the person receives it from wherever the person is. That's networking. And you go over the internet and you search a website, and the content is displayed on your screen. That's networking. Foundationally at the base of it, there's a lot of networking going on there. Because that file basically is in another computer somewhere, maybe in America or somewhere in Europe, and you're here in Africa, and the files in that system are being served to your PC over the network, and you get to see it through a browser, right? But at the most basic level, at the fundamental level, beyond the application and your laptop screen, there's networking underneath. So yeah, what is networking? Networking is basically the interconnection of computers, like we explained. So if this laptop I'm using now is connected to another laptop, we say they are both networked. If this laptop is connected to multiple laptops, we say they are networked. And all laptops connect to laptops. Mobile devices can connect to laptops. Mobile devices can connect to iPads. There are many other kinds of communicating devices out there that that communicate with each other in this network. So, and the means of the communication can be either wired or wireless. Most of the ones you're familiar with as guys who use laptop and mobile phones is wireless network technology. But then yes, in offices, let's say a bank, hospitals, and some other places, there are a lot of cable networking. That's to say the computers are connected to each other, or to the computers and the other devices on the network are connected to each other through cables. Do you understand? So there's a whole lot of processes that go on when you speak to your computer and someone else receives feedback from thousands of miles away from you. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be discussing a lot about those in subsequent classes. But for now, yes, that's what networking is about. So I just mentioned wired and wireless networking. There is something, okay, we want to talk about network topologies. It's basically how the devices are arranged on the network for the communication purposes. Oftentimes, there will be a central device which all the devices on this network connect to. Then when that's the case, then you're talking about a star topology in the network. So a computer is connected to that device. The device technically can be a switch. Most times it will be a switch. In this example, they talked about a central hub, but in most modern networking environments, they're going to be talking about a switch. So I'm not going to be explaining so much about what a switch is right now, but you're going to know a lot about it in subsequent classes, or maybe in the next slide. But most of these devices connect to one particular device that is responsible for multiplexing, responsible for redirecting appropriately the messages that are intended for, like what message is intended for who on the network, like that. Anyways, but a bus technology uses a single line of communication. That's to say, all of the computers are connected to one network line, not that all of them are connected to a central switch, as in the case of star topology. You understand? And then a ring technology is somehow like the bus technology, only that the devices are connected in a loop, right? I'm going to show you an example from one of the images I think I have here. Let's see. Yes, here. So typically you'd see a representation of these various kind of network type here. It's running a bit slow. I think I have to do something about this shortest in a short time. And then yeah, that's the three. Waiting for the image to load, so that we can continue. Apparently my system needs upgrade. Maybe one of you here will buy a new system for me, who knows, very soon, inshallah. Okay, this is basically it. So in the star technology, in the star network topology, there is a central device, as you can see here. At which all the computers are connected to. In a bus, it is straight, you can call it a rod, a spine, a trunk, anything. Anyways, this is one communication line and all of the devices are connected to it. But as you can see in the ring light topology, it's in form of a loop. This one is connected here, this one is connected, it moves like in a circular fashion, that's why it's called a ring. So each of them are important for different reasons. So we'll begin to go deeper in networking, would understand better. Now, in order for this to work, there are certain protocols that must be followed. I'm saying they must be followed for better understanding, but protocols are basically rules for communication on networking, but it doesn't apply only to networking, it applies to different areas of technology. But there's going to be a standard and way of communication so that a device that's manufactured by one company is able to communicate to another device that's manufactured by another company. For example, imagine I'm using a HP laptop and I'm trying to talk to somebody that's using a Dell laptop, and then they cannot communicate because they are different. You understand? So it's just like saying you call someone in France and you're trying to speak your language to the person whose language is French, or you call someone in if you call someone in Ghana, the person in Ghana might be able to understand you because they also speak a common language as you in Nigeria, which is English. Now remember, in Nigeria we have very different languages, right? But there is a lingua franca that we all have had to learn, so we learned it, that's English, and it also applies in Ghana. So for that particular purpose, you are able to communicate. So networking protocols are important for this interconnection and intercommunication between these devices on the internet, so that irrespective of the underlying technology, irrespective of the manufacturer, the kind of hardwares and all of those things, they are still able to make communication effectively. So one of these and a very essential one is the TCP/IP, transmission control protocol, and internet protocol that's used for communication. This is what is responsible for my message leaving my PC and meeting you and shaking hands together and doing that data transfer. And DNS, domain name service, is responsible, especially if you've used your web browser before. You would see that at a point you just type www.facebook.com and a Facebook something web page is served to you on your PC. Technically, your computer, like we explained the first time, does not understand English language. It only understands binary, and every communication is done in binary. DNS is responsible for translating the address, the web address you put into your address field